The Russian ambassador to the U.S., Anatoly Antonov, says Tuesday's incident involving a crashed American surveillance drone in waters off the Crimean coast is a U.S. provocation, as the U.S. drones, planes, and ships have no business being that close to Russian borders. He was summoned to the State Department in Washington over the incident and later gave comments to the press. He also said that the drone stalled after executing sharp maneuvers and that the interceptors did not come into contact with it.
I
think this is a real provocation. Most importantly, I believe that American aircraft and ships have nothing to do near the borders of the Russian Federation. Can you imagine that such an aircraft, a drone, suddenly appearing in New York or San Francisco? However, I want to emphasize that the Russian pilots acted very professionally. There was no contact, there were no use of weapons. This drone made a sharp U-turn and crashed.
The drone's last location was reportedly around 60 kilometers southwest of the Crimean port of Sevastopol. The Reaper drone is considered a highly capable weapon, able to carry multiple missiles and bombs, as well as conduct surveillance. Washington accused Moscow of intentionally bringing down the military drone, an allegation which Russia's Ministry of Defense has denied. The U.S. Defense Department was reluctant to clarify when asked whether the drone was armed.
So what kind of precautions are you taking going forward? Are you going to have armed accompanying aircraft, or and when was this aircraft armed?
So I'm not going to get into the specific profile of this particular aircraft. As you know, the MQ-9 does have the ability to be armed. It was, again, conducting an ISR mission in international airspace, something that we've been doing for some time.
The US has accused Russian jets of downing a drone over the Black Sea in what it described as an unsafe and unprofessional intercept. One of the jets struck the propeller of the drone, so the operators ditched it into the sea. That's according to the US European Command. Now, the Russian jet is believed to be heading towards Crimea when the incident occurred. US officials have said this, and President Joe Biden was informed of the incident on Tuesday morning. The US has summoned the Russian ambassador in Washington to the State Department in relation to the incident, and the Pentagon has said that the drone, it claims the drone was carrying out surveillance, but it hasn't said whether or not the drone was armed. And earlier, the US Air Force issued a statement accusing the Russian aircraft of acting in what it said was a reckless, environmentally unsound and unprofessional manner, accusing the Russian aircraft of incompetence. Now, in a press conference, a Pentagon official insisted the drone was carrying out surveillance in international airspace.
Well, this isn't the first incident of its kind in the area involving the Western military involvement, right?
No, we do know that last October, Ukraine carried out a massive drone attack. I think it was 9 drones that were launched on the Russian Black Sea Fleet in the Crimean port city of Sevastopol. And Moscow accused British troops of being involved in that incident. And, of course, that led to Russia suspending its involvement in that internationally brokered deal that allowed the grain exports to leave from Ukrainian ports. And last month, Ukraine said that it was reliant on coordinates provided or confirmed by the United States and its allies for the vast majority of its strikes using these advanced US-provided rocket systems. And, of course, this cast major doubt on Washington's claims of non-belligerence. The Reaper drones are sometimes known as the Predator B, and they are hunter-killer unmanned aerial vehicles. They're designed for long endurance and high-altitude surveillance. But they've also been described as the most dangerous military drone on Earth, and they're controlled remotely. They're able to carry heavier payloads. And, what we do know is that casts, again, doubt over the nature of this particular operation. We still don't know what the drone was doing in the area. The US, of course, claims that it was carrying out surveillance, but Russia has, as we heard earlier, broken down and dismissed those claims.
Former Pentagon security policy analyst Michael Maloof says the American drone was likely being used to call the shots for the Ukrainian military.
That drone probably was used to guide and to give assistance to Ukrainians on the ground for targets. I'm a little puzzled by the damage to a propeller by a Russian jet without it sustaining without the Russian jet sustaining damage. But I haven't heard any reports of any damage to Russian aircraft, if in fact it rammed it. That's the only way that this could have happened. There's still more to the story. The fact that it does show, however, the extent to which the United States is providing assistance to Ukraine without actually putting boots on the ground, but it is in effect assisting as a proxy, seeing Ukraine as a proxy in this conflict against Russia.